And welcome to the May meeting of the Open Space Greenways Committee. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Attached in your packet is the minutes of the April meeting, which were emailed to you previously. May I entertain a motion to approve or any revisions?
Okay. Motion.
The minutes are approved as submitted. Are there? We have quite a full agenda tonight, so we'll try to get through them as completely but as quickly as possible. Are there any revisions to the agenda as submitted? Additions? If not, we'll proceed. First item is a presentation by Jenny Bratz from the Department of Natural Resources. Jenny has graciously agreed to give us a presentation of one of the areas on, I believe it's on Grosse Ile. And so without further ado, Jenny, if you come up to the podium, if you have any overhead projection or overhead presentations, all you have to do is put them on that placard where it says Grosse Ile Township.
Okay.
So just put them down there, and it'll be put on the screens, and it's this meeting is being televised.
Okay, great.
All right. So welcome, and thank you for coming, Jenny.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm here to give an update about our Gibraltar Bay unit, and I'm coming to you from the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge. We're part of the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, and we have around 20 units of property from just south of Detroit to the Ohio border. So they're little different little wildlife refuges, but they all fall under the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge. And we do have one of those units right here on Grosse Ile, behind us here, behind the airport. That's the Gibraltar Bay unit. And we manage it along with the Grosse Ile Nature and Land Conservancy. And Pat had asked me to come here tonight to just give you an update on what's going on there. As many of you are probably aware of, the Gibraltar Bay unit has been closed to the public except for from May to October each Sunday for about 3 hours. I think from 1 to 4 p.m. In the past, that's what the unit's been open. That's the history of it. We are on the brink opening that piece of property from sunrise to sunset daily. We're just waiting on a couple more signs to put up. We have a stewardship crew every Monday that comes out. They represent the United States Fish and Wildlife Service as well as the Grosse Ile Nature and Land Conservancy, a dedicated group of volunteers. They work on trail maintenance, and we're working on chain link fence removal within the unit, just making it more and more beautiful. There's rock gardens. There is a kiosk that has been built that will have signage on it. All those signs will not be up right when we open because that'll take some time to work with other groups on not just the natural history but also the cultural history of the unit. Photography blind is being built with the Grosse Ile Nature and Land Conservancy, and we have a couple other big volunteer work groups this summer that will be out there adding the finishing touches pretty much to the refuge. A couple more trails, newer trails have been cut in. So that's
what kind of trails?
Walking trails.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I'm wondering if there was any questions from anybody here tonight that I can answer directly, or if I can't answer them tonight, I can get back to you on.
Would you tell us more about the walking trails, please?
Walking trails. So they are they go right along the water. So actually, if you look out this window, this is back where I'm talking about. I know that people on television can't see that.
I think it would help. I think if anybody has a copy of the
map?
The map, I think if you could put that on the...
in here?
That would help Jenny a lot. Do you have that?
Thank you. I grabbed this and the map wasn't in there.
You can tell us exactly where it's at. Yes. Right.
And the trails are going to be along the water in Gibraltar Bay?
Not just along the water, also within the forest there as well.
Okay, will it go along East River Road at all?
Oh, you're talking about a potential bike path. possibly
Potential, any kind of path or trail.
So the part of that property is the airport, and we would have to work with them directly to get any kind of path put in so that it has to be a certain distance
from the runways.
For the runways. But that's a potential future project. That's not one that's being worked on right now.
Okay.
How many of your refuges are open from dawn to dusk?
No, this will be our very first one. They've all been closed. I'm just going to put here. This is our newest annual report, and I've left a pile of them at the front here. So if you want to grab them on your way out. This is at our Humbug unit in our Gateway site. This is just right over, if you look across West River, you can see the boat dock being built and the visitor center. So that's going to take some time to open because it is under construction. So because of that, we're opening other units first, but the Gibraltar Bay unit will be our very, very first unit open.
I heard there might be some kind of an observation deck that they're putting in
Yes,
the
so
bay?
there are actually two. There's one that's already been built on the quarry pond at the Gibraltar Bay unit. That was built a couple years ago. And there is another one that will be complete here in the next couple weeks. That overlooks Gibraltar Bay.
When did you say this is going to be open and available?
It'll be in the next couple weeks. We are waiting on two more signs, literally just two more signs to put up, and we'll be out there to post them.
This will certainly add to the enjoyment of the natural areas of Grosse Ile, even though, it has been open previously, but having it open from dawn to dusk 7 days a week will really enhance the attractiveness of that particular area.
And we will be doing more activities there. We'll have May 20th, I think, the Friday, May 20th. And from 5:30 to 7:30 at night, we will have a birding program there. And then starting in June, or when we have our first open house at Humbug Marsh, that same day we'll have a smaller version of it here at Gibraltar Bay, but that will be open all day, whereas Humbug will only be open for that actual open house hours.
Any other questions or comments?
Will you have personnel locking up and opening up in the morning?
No, it'll be open. So there'll be a sign that says sunrise to sunset.
So you mentioned fence removal. Where are they going to remove the fence at?
That's actually within the unit. Between the trails and forest, there's really old chain link fence that is just breaking up the forest as well as the from the land to the water. So that a lot of that's already been removed, and we put up I think it's a more rustic-looking wooden split rail fence that will keep people from driving up onto it with boats or anything like that. But it is much more appealing to the eyes, and the animals are happier to not have all these chain link fence around.
Right. Very nice.
Well, Jenny, I want to let you know that if any time in the future that you have some information concerning this area that you want to share with the community of Grosse Ile, you're always welcome to come in and talk to us about it. This is televised over the air, and we'll make sure that we'll try to get the word out to as many people as we possibly can.
I'll bring photos next time of activities going on in the trails so that you can see them when everything's completed.
Okay, and we do have a Grosse Ile Connect app now that you may want to contact Ted Fournier, and he will put your announcement for your open house and your hours on.
The one on the first weekend of June, the first Saturday of June, is from 10 a.m. to noon. Just
good. Thank you.
But I will pass it on.
Could also put it on the website, couldn't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just send that to Ted, and if you copy me, that would be good.
What is Ted's last name?
Ted Fournier.
f@groseile.com.
Okay.
Thank you. That was really, really informative.
Jenny, thank you for coming, and you're welcome to stay.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's start off with the liaison reports. First of all, with regard to the township, Wally?
Thank you, Cliff. I had my foot stuck. Couple things coming up in the township you should all be aware of. Tomorrow is Bike to School Day, and it's a be-back function. but it's involving our schools, children riding their bikes to and from school. I think Mitch probably knows all about that. I mentioned it to you because it's great exercise, number one, but number two, with all of these youngsters out on bikes tomorrow, just be a little more careful, please. Some of them are not as respectful of the right-of-way of cars, and if they get into an accident, it would ruin everything. Look out for these youngsters, and let's let them have a real good time. Second thing is, Island Fest is just about upon us. It'll start on the 21st of May, and I'm not going to steal your thunder about having a table there, but I'm going to leave that for you, Cliff. Finally, tomorrow night's agenda, not tomorrow night's, but next Monday's agenda in the Township Board meeting will have an action item to again approve the dust control material that we've been using in the township for 10 years. Personal interest in that. It is an environmentally friendly product that we're using. It's not like salts or brines that are destructive to adjoining property and groundwater. This is asphaltic emulsion, and it costs us a little bit more to buy it per gallon and to dilute it and put it down, but we usually only use it once a year instead of once every 2 weeks. So in the long run, economically sensible and ecologically very friendly. So if you see the trucks putting down something that looks like mustard, it turns brown in about 10 minutes. Try not to drive on it till it's dry, because it'll get on your car, but it washes off with soap and water. That's about all I'd like to tell you tonight.
Thank you very much, Wally. The next is from the Grosseal Nature Land Conservancy. Bert?
Okay, the Conservancy is up to a lot. We had a successful Earth Day event on the 24th, and at that day we did walk around the Gibraltar Bay unit and also the airport property to see where the beavers have been busy. So coming up this Friday, May 6th, is the deadline for high school photo contest. So we're urging all participating high school students to get outside and take pictures and get those into us by Friday. May 14th is the Birds of the Bay event. Jenny referred to that. It's going to be at the GBU in the airport area. That starts at 9 o'clock. Friday, May 20th is the guided birding program at the GBU, and that's at 5 p.m. And Saturday, May 28th, we're doing a garlic mustard pull. And so we're looking for people to help us get rid of this invasive plant. On Grosseal, that starts at 9 a.m., and we're meeting at the Meridian School parking lot. Another event that Jenny didn't mention is coming up on Grosseal at the Ford Yacht Club on Saturday, May 14th, and that's the annual benefit dinner of the International Wildlife Refuge Alliance, which supports the refuge. So we urge Grosseal residents to come out to that event, and you can find out information either by contacting me or Jenny, or go on International Wildlife Refuge Alliance website. That's about it.
Bert, is any of that mustard pool going to be done on an open space? Or is it just conservancy or open space conservancy in township, or what's the extent?
Well, Natalie Cyber, who is, grew up on Grosseal, she's the naturalist that kind of helps us decide where the biggest patches are that we take off. So I'm not sure where she's identified. I know last year we were on some open space property by the cemetery. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure what we're targeting this year, but it's pretty much wherever we can get the biggest bang for the buck.
And is that the only kind of invasive species you work with right now?
That's what we target as a community effort. I know I've been some of the work crews at the GBU, and there we get rid of buckthorn and some other things.
Okay.
Thanks, Bert. Leah Shelke, who is a liaison for the recreation activity, is not here tonight, so we'll pass on news to the Recreation Committee in case, and I don't want to put you on the spot, Wally. Is there anything happening with the rec department that we should be aware of, other than the Island Fest, of course?
Things are ramping up. The golf carts are in at the golf course. The restaurant will be open here rather shortly, within the next couple of weeks, and I understand, I've not seen it myself, but my wife describes it as stunning, which is, to impress my wife is going to be very impressive.
Oh, that's good news.
So that's going to be a good thing. The marina is operating and looks very good this year. Hope to get some good weather for the recreation department for this summer. Before you know it, the pool will be open and we'll be in full swing down there.
Could we say around maybe the third week of May it'll be open?
Well, I was told mid-May.
Mid-May?
Yeah, so depending on your definition of mid, anywhere from the 3rd to the 28th, right?
They're going to have an opening?
They're going to have a soft opening. They'll have an announcement on the Grosseal Connect and on the website. And these are good folk, and they're going to open a quality restaurant. I think you're all going to be impressed with it. Anybody that's eaten at Smokies is anticipating eating at Smokies.
Wonderful. Thank you, Wally. Next is the Grosseal Schools. Mitch?
Thank you. Not a whole lot to report on my end. I talked to my principal, Mr. Tucker, about kid volunteers for the Friends of the Grosseal Natural Areas. Talked to him a little bit more about that. I talked to him about the red oak trees, dump the junk, wood cutting. I told him we were walking through the trail, gave him a couple notes on that. I've also talked to him about getting him involved, possibly. And he didn't give me a lot to say, but he did tell me, like Wally said, bike to school day is tomorrow, so, watch out for people. Sorry, it's not a whole lot to report. That's probably about it.
One of the things you might want to talk about is the fact that about the wildlife sanctuary being the official educational trail
Right.
for Grosseal.
Right, you may want to be sure and tell him that, Mitch.
Okay. I did, I think, yeah, I did, but I don't think he gave me anything to say about that. I think he's still kind of thinking for any ideas for signs and stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mitch. As far as the beautification committee is concerned, Pam Frushi, Pam, anything to report on?
A couple of things. Michelle Babcock, who's on our Island Beautification Committee, has been the township gardener for like the last 13 years, and she's looking for a replacement. So if anybody knows somebody who would like a part-time job maintaining some flower beds around the township, they're looking for a replacement for Michelle Babcock. And some people were concerned that we took down the thorny hawthorn at Four Corners, and it would be the northwest corner and the southwest corner. But the thorny hawthorns were not a very friendly tree, and they had thorns on them. So they came down, but before the Island Fest, the plan is the southwest corner has been planted, and it's got some nice greenery there, and we're going to do the same with the northwest corner before Island Fest time. And then the Kiwanis Club has taken over the Memorial Garden, which is just outside the hangar here. And Art and Claire Kester, that had been their project for years, and now we've lost, with Art's health condition, those two very energetic and dedicated volunteers. So we're hoping to get that planted with some kid help and get the flowers growing and looking good for the Island Fest when there'll be a big crowd around the airport. So that's about it.
Questions or? Pam, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Last but certainly not least, we just had our Dump the Junk event this past weekend, and Woody, could you tell us about it?
The chaos went well. Everything was, that side is not the greatest side. We all found that out. Well, it's too close together. What do you think, Lenny?
I agree. And then where the treasure was, it kept that corner congested, and it was hard for a thoroughfare.
Get in and out, yes.
Yeah, so
It'll change next year, but because or this ended in October, I hope these people have gone by then. We can go back to the other side
yeah, where there was more.
where we've been, because that corner was terrible. I mean, the people are trying to get around, but you know, you had the people with the leaves, you had the people with the limbs, you had them all going at you, and then you had the people looking.
Yeah,
so
they were parked a couple of deep.
Yeah, right. And you're trying to move them out and also have them look at the same time.
You said it right. It was controlled
wasn't
chaos.
Fun, we'll say.
Controlled chaos.
Pardon?
You said it perfectly. Controlled chaos.
There were two parts of that, though, that did turn out well. One was forcing a one-way entry and exit. I thought that relieved a lot of traffic problems we had in the past. The other thing was having more parking space for shoppers, because we had at times that one whole fence when you first come in full of nothing but parked cars with people parking. So the two things we should remember is maintaining a one-way and maintaining a place where people who are shopping can park, because that really helped us last time.
Just reverse the sides on the parking.
I think probably what we can engineer the whole thing here, but probably end up with putting the dumpsters on the west side all the way down, and then select a spot maybe on the east side for the treasure area, and for the tires or anything else.
The tires went all the way to the back, right?
They did, yes.
That's where you should leave them. Get them,
Yeah.
down there and get them out of the people's way.
Yeah.
If people want the tires, then they can go get them.
I think it was myself. I thought it was very successful, and to the point of the location of the treasures, that's got to be addressed, and we will definitely address it next time. I think
also, the railroad ties, it's not our responsibility. We can't do it. The company who put the boxes in, they don't want them because it gets so heavy they can't pick them up.
Have to dump some.
So that's the reason we had to stop the railroad ties coming in. Some people brought them in on Saturday, but we stopped it on Sunday, or at least I tried to.
Yeah.
I think there might be a way to, I don't know whether we can, if it's a weight problem, possibly, maybe just something to think about, that maybe we could put some railroad ties in one, maybe a limited amount, and then spread those out maybe about 2 or 3 dumps. I don't know whether we can or can't.
Right.
But that's something we want to do.
Yeah, we have to clear that with the company that picks them up.
Absolutely.
The objection to the railroad ties is also the preservative in them.
Yeah,
the crews.
I don't think they really cared about that. They cared about the weight.
Preservative is what makes them heavy, the creosote.
Also, we Hoovers let the brick people and the cement people bring their stuff down there to dump off, rather than make them turn around and go back home with the same stuff.
I think that was an excellent point that you brought up, and I think we had but 2 or 3 people that brought in bricks and patio bricks and cement. But now, do you think they will allow, Hoovers will allow that this fall, Woody?
I'm sure they will. They'll also allow it right now after this if they want. She's told me if people come up and they want to dump bricks and cement, they can bring it down anytime they want to, but they got to go in and toot the horn so she can come out. Just don't drive in and drive out and say, well, nobody was there. Well, you got to get her attention.
Just for sake of clarification, Hoover's is correct me if I'm wrong, is a small
marina.
Very small marina. Is located directly to the south of Albemarle, and there's a gravel road, and you just pull in there and toot the horn, and Mrs. Hoover will come out and direct them as to where to dump the cement.
Right.
Now,
What's she doing?
Huh?
What is she
towards the ground.
Now, we added 3 new dumpsters this year. Was that sufficient?
That's the same number we had last year. 14.
All right. Was that sufficient?
Sufficient to a point, but you can overload yourself with them. We could run out of room
Right.
putting the dumpsters up.
I think we had a total of 15, including the one that came from Fritz.
Okay, well,
So 14.
We can't count Fritz's because
Yeah.
that's the metal one. We can count it for the metal, but you can't count it, for the junk.
Lenny, I think 14.
Now, and then John Klein and his 2 helpers cleaned up on Monday, cleaned it all up. Very good of him, nice of it. George and Jerry works for the DPW, or BPS, or whatever you want to call it. They helped John. John was using probably the front loader, picking the stuff up, throwing it in a gondola. We had 2 empties, and they probably filled both of those up, and I don't know how much more after that.
Well, they were filling them up Sunday afternoon. Am I right, Bert? Yeah. They were filling them up Sunday afternoon. John was there with his 2.
Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, filling the dumpsters up. This was around 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, well, good. I didn't see them. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But there was no lock, so, open it up because it was already open.
Lenny, was there any other comments?
No, it was my first time, and
Thank you for your...
our pleasure. It was
Your
my
help.
first time, and it was enjoyable.
Yeah. But and I think it went well. I think 14 seemed to be sufficient, providing they're compacted. And as Woody said, our hats off to John Keim and his people. Also, Donna Deppa
And
Lorenda did an excellent job of making the signs and preparing it. So I thought it was a very successful event. Anything else about Dump the Junk?
As long as the money goes to where we wanted it to go this time.
Well, it's going to go to, I understand, the Tails, Woody?
But we said that last year. It went someplace else.
Well, I think we'll just follow up with Fritz and tell him to...
Well, yeah, we have, but we'll see. If it goes to some other place, they're going to have to write a check and send it to Tails.
Anything else as far as Dump the Junk is concerned?
No.
Not for me.
If not...
One other thing. I got this, I think I got this from you, Bert, right? Or you, Pat?
Well, Bert gave it to you, but I made him
Okay,
up.
so they say Saturday, October 8th is hazardous waste over Wayne County Community College. Do you think we should gear our Dump the Junk around the same date so when people come in, they'll say, well, crap, I read somewhere we were going to do it. No, we don't do it, but they'll do it, and then we can send them over there.
Sounds like a good idea.
At the same time, why double dip a week later?
Yeah.
If you already loaded it, it doesn't work here, go take it over there.
Yeah, right, because if we can't take it,
Right.
they can. So I think we should gear over October around the 8th of October.
Okay, when is that, on a Saturday, Woody?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a Saturday.
Well, let's make it Saturday, October 8th, and Sunday, October 9th.
Yeah, I mean, we try to help the residents as much as we can when they want to dump that stuff someplace.
Right.
And they have no place to dump it, but they have to drive miles. We have other places they can go, but it's too far away out.
Now, where is this again? I'm sorry.
Henry Ford Community College, and not Henry Ford, Wayne County Community College District Downriver Campus is on North Line,
Yeah.
21,000 North Line Road in Taylor.
Okay.
Well, we'll make sure that word gets out.
Well, we'll have the signs. I'm sure you're going to have people say, well, I read it.
Oh, we'll make that happen then. Any other comments about Dump the Junk? If not, I don't see anybody in the audience other than Kristen, so I'll pass on public comments unless you want to talk and say something, Kristen? Thank you. All right, let's move ahead to the next item, which is the trail updates in the spring maintenance. So let's just move down. The first one is the Manchester Trail. Mitch and Lenny, any comments?
We brought a report. You want us to show it to you?
Yeah, let's put it right on the screen.
Come on, Mitch. I'll flip the pages. You can talk. Observations.
All right. So we walked through Manchester Trail a couple of weeks ago. It's a very well done trail in the front, but I feel like it needs some more work in the back. It gets very wet the further back you get. They built up the chips very well in the front, but they really need to put more in.
Have to read on the screen.
These were probably about midway through the trail. As you can probably see,
That's great.
the chips are there, and it's built up decently, but there are still a lot of wet spots. There were quite a few wet spots all throughout the trail, and I'm sure that'll be taken care of as soon as we get more chips or something.
The first third of the trail seemed to retain. So the illustration, the photograph on the right, is a part of a tree that's fallen, blocking probably a third of the trail. So we want to get that contained. It's there and available for cutting. And then the other shots are walking deeper into the trail.
What do you think should be done to build it?
To build it up, what it looks like to me is, as they were carrying chips back, as the chips fell, we had deep chips at the very beginning of the trail, and it tapered off toward the end. And then with the wet winter that we had, most of them just washed out.
How can we put something up there like the trees along the sides?
Yeah, for example, if we took down trees and encapsulated the sides of the trail,
Like a pathway?
like a pathway, and then added chips to the center of that,
Right.
that may take and help preserve the chips.
Wash away, they won't be able to wash away because you got the logs sitting there.
Yeah, 100 years from now, we'll be putting chips over there, it'll still be underwater.
Now this center one, I see some logs. Was that like a path going over the logs?
It looks like it was a man-made bridge where they had laid some logs down
Yeah.
to where you could walk over a wet portion.
Right.
But those logs have kind of moved apart from one another, probably with the snow and the ice and whatnot. It just got to be cleaned up a little bit and pushed back together.
You would have to use the logs on sides on that so they don't move.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
Would be a better idea or not?
No, I agree. We should box it in
That
to keep it
section,
together.
Len, that section was, in fact, there before we started to improve
was it?
the trail.
Okay.
And if you recall, you went around to the one side of that, so we have people walking on the irregular log surface. Look over there, you'll see that there is a pass around it. That's
Yeah.
just a deep spot there.
So we should just,
We're not going to run out of chips. We're going to beat this.
okay.
Lenny?
Here, Lenny, see this, could we
Yeah, I'll put
use,
this
Take
up there.
this.
could we use that in place of the logs?
Now, I was walking the area recreation trail over by Meridian, and that's a very wet trail. And in the areas that was practically swamp, they, I think the township or Bert, you folks, built these kind of bridges. And I took that picture because I was wondering if we could build that kind of a bridge at the east end of the trail so that you could go over that big ravine that's there.
Right.
And that looks like it wouldn't be all that expensive to do, and maybe that would replace your log one there, too.
Yeah, very well could. I want to go back over there now and start out some and go take another look at it.
Yeah, but if you go on that trail by Meridian School, they've
Yeah.
got two of those
They have
built.
two of those over there.
Yep.
I believe. This gets deeper into.
Wear waders when you were covering the trail?
Mitch actually wore shorts.
Yeah, I think I just came from school or something, so I had tennis shoes on.
Yeah,
So we couldn't get very far back.
Yeah, we tried to walk on high ground, and as you can see toward the back, where it's what was once upon a time a chip. So most of that's washed away. Where it goes on and does that U-turn, that whole area was underwater.
The whole point that I was
Logs on
making,
the sides?
that's the first real improvement we've made to this trail. Steps are going to have to be repeated a couple of three.
Well, yeah, until they get built up, until they get compressed and whatnot. But no, I mean, it's, the areas that stayed intact, it was
I'm not
gorgeous.
apologizing.
Oh, no, it was beautiful.
It's going to be a very nice trail.
Yeah.
But I think last year when we put stuff down, we recognized that.
So we should use the logs all the way through the whole routine?
You need something to take and keep, when it does get in the wet season, it's something to try to take and protect and keep those chips together. Otherwise, they just float away.
Have to put the trees all the way along.
We need to come up with a plan for that.
Is that the last one?
That's the last one.
Okay. Just a couple comments. I would talk with TNT a week and a half ago, and I told them that all the trails need additional chips, and he's going to start delivering those chips. And I made a special reference to the Manchester Trail, stating that I received some information that there's a lot of work that needs to be done towards the back end. So, and I think that may take some work by TNT, maybe to move some of those logs around. So we have to give them some pretty firm direction on where the logs should be, and in other words, to not only dump the chips at the beginning of the trail, but get a front end loader and move those chips to the back in specified areas. And I'm thinking that we should wait until at least it dries up a little bit.
Right.
And then once that's done, we can give him pretty firm directions as to what we need done. So I don't know when it'll be dried up. That's hard to say. But
By the end of the month.
By the end of the month, and then have him go through and might have to be there, not be there while he's doing it, but take him on a tour and show him exactly hands-on what we need him to do.
Okay, we can do that.
Because it looks like it's going to be some pretty heavy work, and that's not the type of work we want volunteers to do.
Just as a point on that, if we're going to do that, we have to use substantially sized logs, because we've tried edging the wildlife sanctuary with trees that are not large enough, and people seem to think it's fun to just roll them all around. So if we're going to be doing that, you don't want to keep constantly redoing it.
Yeah.
We need to use pretty good-sized logs.
Pretty good sized logs and or whatever we put down.
I'm
anchor
trying
down.
to figure out what to do with the sanctuary, because every time I go in there, I'm replacing the edge, and the thing to do is use something too large for them to be able to just have fun with, I think.
Put blocks on each side?
Oh, that here right there gives us a start.
Yep.
There was another slide here which showed the bridge, a wooden bridge. Yeah. I think that's something that maybe we should take a real good look at, and maybe contract to have a couple of these bridges made. I don't know if we can make them and then haul them in, or we have to build them on site.
Oh, with that much wood, they're going to be heavy.
Yes.
So maybe just carry them back and construct them there.
Just
So that's one thing we might
Precaution.
want to look at.
caution. You start building bridges, you need some engineering backup for those bridges. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. I think it's a good idea. But if you put a bridge in there and the bridge fails when two people are standing on it,
Then there's a whole other
then we've got a whole problem. And the other thing I want to say about the trails in and of themselves, there are spots where Lenny's talking about where they, in fact, have washed away. But that's not the whole trail. In those places, you ought to have enough timber of 6, 8, 12-inch trees that's pretty close there, because nobody's ever logged that.
Right.
You ought to be able to use up some of that. But what we don't want to do is to make a nature trail that looks like it was made for a shopping center.
Okay, right.
And that's what I fear. I don't want bricks or blocks.
Right, no, yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, keep the
Okay.
rustic fill.
Well, maybe we should just, we'll take a look at it, and maybe the large logs on the side to act as a buffer to dam up the chips, so to speak,
Right.
would be in order. And as far as moving those logs is concerned, I think this is something that TNT could.
Yeah, they've got the equipment.
We've got budgeted money for that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Get an estimate from him, Cliff, and we can do it.
Yeah. Any other questions? Comments?
I think that the only comment I want to make is that make sure that let us know possibly when it's dry enough to start working on that trail.
Okay.
Because maybe a couple of weeks. It all depends on what the weather's like.
Yeah.
You can't get back there now with a front end loader.
They're saying rain all day tomorrow.
Okay.
So it'll be a few weeks.
Let us know what's going on, and we'll make arrangements for TNT to get in there with some pretty heavy equipment and give them directions, take them through, show them what we want done, and then turn them loose.
Perfect.
They do a good job for us, I'm sure. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mitch. The Wildlife Sanctuary, I know you talked about this before, but
I reported last month that we had a washout at the horse mill entrance, the first dip as you go down the trail. The washout was fixed, but when I went back there today, everything is washed out again. So I need someone to give advice as to the proper way that we can resolve this issue, because the mulch is just going away quickly. So anyone who has an idea, let us know. And Cliff said he's going to ask TNT to give us some help on that, what they would recommend that we do. Other than that, the trail looks really good. The red oak trees are looking good. And just for anyone who is a wildlife lover, I would say within 2 days, the wildflowers will be in full bloom. And it is really going to be pretty. They are all over there this time. A few of them are in bloom, but I think 2 more warm days, and it will be a gorgeous walk. Thank you.
One question. This is located towards the south end of the wildlife sanctuary?
Right. It's when you enter from the horse mill area. You go in, and then there's a little dip, and that's the first dip.
The first dip here?
First dip off of horse mill.
I think what you're seeing here is the fact that those irrigation pipes that we put in.
We had those put in last year.
I know.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem that they were very effective on the surface.
Where'd you put the pipes?
In there.
Yeah, the pipes.
Yeah, they're right.
I see them, but it seems as though they didn't.
They look like logs.
They didn't.
Well, they're plastic pipes.
Question is, I guess, did they do any good?
I think they did do good, because it's not an actual little pond. It's just, a little pond.
It's corrugated plastic. It's covered with a sock. It's made to gradually drain an area. But you may need something that is smoothbore going out.
Right. Now, we put those further down on the trail, and those are working beautifully.
Okay.
The mulch has not washed off of those at all. But for whatever reason, this particular area, we need a better solution.
Well, I told TNT to dump the chips at the south end of the trail.
Correct. That's where we need it. Because we still have some at the north end that never got spread. Okay.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. I've already talked to T&T about dumping the chips, and the Manchester. It appears to me that the Manchester Trail is the one that's going to need the most work. That's what it appears to be. As far as Centennial Farms, I think Darrell is not here this evening. He's excused. He's
If I may, Darrell did inspect the same Friday night.
Oh, did
he shot me an email and said just to report, a full report later, but he said to report that it looks fine. So he sent me an email to report that on Centennial Farms.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So no, it's okay. I thought you were covering the notes, so sorry about that. He walked through it. He says it so far looks good, and he'll look at it again upon his return.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. I have yet to look at the playscape. Quite frankly, I've been pretty busy, so I'll make it a point to get at that next week. The next item is the finalize the Friends of the Open Space program. Just in the way of background, Bert did an excellent job of presenting a draft of a Friends program, and subsequent to that, we've had a number of study sessions to discuss the Friends program, and Wally brought to our attention the fact that there's a larger problem in terms of getting volunteers, but more importantly, communicating the facts about the Grosse Ile natural areas and so forth to the community at large. And my personal opinion, I'll just make this as an opinion, as far as the Friends of the Open Space program, I think we should get that going, have that ready for the Island Fest, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. And what I'm suggesting is that we implement that program and call it and set up a separate website through Ted Fournier to talk about the Friends program, and consisting of primarily the form, the map, and one other sheet which shows the what we want each individual to do who signs up. And I'd like to open this up for discussion to see how you folks feel about this. Bert, why don't you start it off if you can?
Well, I think it's a good idea. I talked with Alan Coupland at Dump the Junk, and he mentioned that he does wood cutting. I think he's on your ad, and Woody's contact is for that. But he's also mentioned that he'd be interested in volunteering for Dump the Junk. So I think it kind of speaks to the need for gathering a database of people that are interested in multiple aspects of Grosse Ile natural areas, and as we've talked about, not keeping information in silos, but spreading it between the different commissions, and just gathering all the enthusiasm of residents to support the programs on the island and coordinating that as best we can.
I have a question when you say that we develop a website just for their friends. That's great if somebody knows it exists and they say, oh, I want to join the Friends, so I'm going to go to this website and do it. But how are they going to know that exists? Why don't we just use one site, the Grosse Ile Township face page, open space, and put everything related to open space in one bucket?
I think that's what Cliff is really saying.
Okay.
He's suggesting that we do have a site on the Grosse Ile
Okay.
webpage.
Under the open space, though.
I want everything
We've got,
in
just like
one
BPAC
bucket.
has.
Yeah.
You got another trigger there.
Because if they don't know that Friends is out there and someplace else, how are they going to know? But if they know it's related to open space, they go to open space and get whatever they need.
If we follow the philosophy that we talked about for the last two meetings, we're going to have to hit it with every resource we own. And
Right.
Grosio Connect is going to be a big resource.
Right.
The Grosio webpage is another resource. The Trenton Tribune is a resource. Facebook is a resource. And if you recall Ted saying, if you give me the information, I'll get them on all of them. So I understand, because Cliff and I have talked about this on the side
Yeah.
too.
Well,
What he's
those that
looking
you're
for-
saying, Wally, though, to me are supplemental things. It's like you go to the encyclopedia and you get what you need, and then you find out where else you can go. But you've got to have a starting point that'll let people branch out.
We're hopeful that Grosio Connect will be that starting point.
Okay.
Lenny, any comments?
Question, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add that I was over at Westcroft Gardens today, and the gal that was working the gardens had a T-shirt on that we bought like 5 years ago, and says Friends of Westcroft, and it has their logo on it. And we had organized a bunch of people that would go in and weed, because at that time Denise DeBose didn't have the funds to provide people to go in and make sure the gardens were free of weeds. Now she's doing it herself, but I'm thinking I write for the Trenton Trib, a little column, and if you want me to, I could mention that we're looking for volunteers that would like to be more involved, hands-on, with keeping our open space spruced up and looking good. I could do that, and also maybe we could offer them a nice little T-shirt that says Friends of Open Space or Friends of Natural Areas, and they'd be identified as those that are willing to add a little extra help.
I'd like to get something going, so when we have our Island Fest booth, so to speak, that we have something up and running that they can go to, in addition to maybe signing up right then and there. So, Lenny, do you?
I've agreed with everything thus far. I think if we take and just do a additional button on our base homepage for open space, and that'll trigger a sign up. You know, the mission statement, the sign up, that's also a data point to collect the residents who want to become volunteers, and that develops our database and our contact list, and simultaneously also do the exact same thing on Grosio Connect. So for those who are mobile friendly, they have access through that route, and or internet savvy, just go right to the homepage.
All right.
I like that.
Okay, that's fine. I have no problem. I have no problem with that. But what I'm interested in is making it happen within the next week or so. That be done? And I'm thinking specifically, if you look in your packet, Bert, there's 2 pages in Bert's book that's got the Friends of Groseo's Natural Areas, and it's also got the sign form. Those are the 2 things I think that should be in that page, in that website.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Ted's timing is going to be to take and do this to the website and GI Connect. We just got to sit down with him and ask him, what can he accomplish by when?
I think I'd like to have it done before the 19th of May.
I agree.
Okay. Because that's when we have to have a booth up running.
Right. We want some advance notification for that as well.
So, if it sounds agreeable, who would? Ted is available. He's available, I think, in the afternoon, if memory serves. Who could go in and work with him? And as far as the 2 pages, Bert, do you think that would be suffice?
Adds up the 2 pages so it looks better, and I meet with Ted. So.
Well, yeah, and a few down on our agenda, our action items, is a website overview. Maybe we can take that package in as well for the additional updates that we need to that website, and have a meeting, give him a task list, and ask him for his help.
Yeah. And as far as deadline is concerned, have that thing up, and at least the Friends portion of it, up and running by the 19th.
Oh, yeah, and then once that's done, we can ask them to take and do a message on Grosio Connect that it's now open and available. It'll come across your phone, the 500 plus users that are using Grosio Connect today, and then also put in news and events on the Grosio main website that there's a sign now available, and then start getting that word out there, and then Also, with the Trenton Trib and any other mechanism we have to get that word out.
Em, can you put prepare a item for the Trenton Trib about specifically what we had is that we have developing the Friends of the Grosseal Natural Areas is concerned. That's what we want to call it. And that it's going to be information is going to be available on the website, and it's also going to be available for Island Fest.
And Pam, in your packet, all of that information is already in there for you.
It's in there.
Good stuff.
And then while you're at it, if you wouldn't mind giving the Grosseal Connect a plug and say that it's available at the App Store, and you must download it as well.
Next edition of the Trenton Trib comes out in June.
It's past.
That's,
It's a time issue.
But, it's still
It's
still
still
a
good,
idea to
but-
do the article.
yeah.
But,
would
let's
remind people that
let's
they
talk
haven't already
about this
signed
whole
up.
presentation thing a little bit more. We've got the electronic tools. All right, we've got several of them. Know that you're going to be at Island Fest. You're going to have a table with other people from other Grosseal commissions and committees, all in one place. We've started to foster a relationship between us, Nature and Land Conservancy, Bike Path, Recreation, DPS, and that's what we talked about, breaking down silos. Sitting together breaks down silos. We have a unique and individual responsibility to this committee, but we have a bigger responsibility to make sure that all of those folks are all singing the same tune.
You're exactly right. And we agree 100%. But that kind of gets into the update of the open space site. I think that's immediate is to get this information to, step one is get this information onto the website, and Bert, you're going to sit down. Lenny, can you, if there's any, could you two kind of work together on this if need be?
Any support she needs,
Sit
absolutely.
down with Ted was available, and I think once he understands what he wants, what we want to do specifically, I think he'll work to make and to have it done. Okay, any further discussion about the Friends program, at least initially? Now, once we get it up and running, we may decide to change it,
Sure.
depending on what type of reception we get, and there may be some other issues that may occur. But at least let's get it out there. Okay.
Great.
Last year, just again plagiarizing a little bit, BPAC had a very large table-sized map of the island. And they asked people to put pin pickers, the little things that you use for maps, marking maps, where they wanted to see things, where they wanted to see a bike path. And they used that information after the last Island Fest to come up with some of the ideas for what BPAC wants to do. I think your idea was very similar, to put out a map the same way,
Yeah.
and have somebody sitting at the desk with a box of map pins, and here's a comment book, tell us what you want, and put a pinprick in here where you think that's something. It's very low tech. It's very inviting to people who are intimidated by electronics. It's a way to draw some of the folks to you, and some of those folks that give you input aren't Grosseal residents. That's valuable too. You want them to come over here, right?
I think this will take care of help, at least update the next item on the agenda, that leads right into the presentations for Island Fest. I've already reserved a spot at Island Fest. I've already put some money down, and I've also made arrangements for a table.
Okay.
And to that point, I was going to I got in touch with Paragraphics, and for them to get a copy of the map that we have on our open space guide, blow that up to maybe 4x3, and either put it on an easel or else have it right on the table. And then have a copy made of the form with forms available, and the other item, which is the form itself, and the item is the Friends of Open Space, the instruction sheet.
Right.
And I was thinking if we have those three things, I think that'll go a long ways towards. So,
How many other organizations are going to be there?
pardon me?
How many other organizations were going to be there?
Well, I would assume is the Grosse Ile, maybe they can be next to us and we can work together on this.
You're going to have the bike path, you're going to have all those other ones, so they're all going to be in the same location?
All of your nonprofits will be together in one place.
Pardon?
All nonprofits will be in the same place together.
Okay.
Now, my question is, do you want me to make a large map of the Grosse Ile, the same as what we have on the in the book? Okay.
Can you
How should?
can you touch base with Brian? He may be able to print you one.
Well,
It'll already have your trails on it.
well, this
Yeah.
I'll talk to him.
You don't need to reinvent something. Still, you know.
Now, should we also build up this the Friends of Grosse Ile, put that on a large sheet, or just have this form available for them to sign up right then and there?
Size or kind of easy, people could just flat on it.
Even this here, and also the form.
You probably don't need to sign it.
Okay. All right. If I put this on a large, make this on a large easel, that would be sufficient. Okay, I can do that. So I'll build up the map, and I'll touch with Brian, see what he's got, and then we'll have the forms available, and we'll be there to ask any questions or answer any questions. Now, the next item is, as far as volunteering is concerned, we'll need somebody, a group of us, to be there to answer questions or maybe to help with the forms and so forth. Look at your schedule and see maybe what, could we break it down into maybe 4-hour shifts or 3-hour shifts? What time, when did it start, Wally? It starts Friday night?
Starts Friday night at 3 or 4 o'clock.
Yeah, afternoon Friday.
At 4 o'clock?
Yeah, and the tables are usually manned until 8 o'clock or so.
Okay.
And then the next morning is the morning of the parade. You want people to be there after the parade's over, so 11 o'clock till 7 or 8. Yeah.
Okay,
I
Friday?
don't think you need to do it on Sunday. I think that if you did it Friday and Saturday, it'd be
Okay,
fine.
Friday would be from 4 to 8. Saturday,
10 o'clock till 7 or 8.
11 to 7. And would you say 2 people at each time?
I had one person at a time for BPAC last year, and it
One?
seemed to work.
Okay, so
We
we
have
have,
that many people.
so we have one from...
Exactly.
We'll bring a mirror.
Okay, we got 11 to 7, and I think we should break that up from at least 2 folks, one to handle from 11 to 3 and one
couple
from
hours.
4 to 7. So think about it and get back to me as to what time you'd be
I'm
available.
already working there.
Pardon me?
I'm already working with Russell.
Okay.
Same here.
Okay. Pat, could you be available?
Sure. Saturday, 11 to 3.
You know, it doesn't take a board member to man that table. It doesn't. It takes somebody with 15 minutes of education about what this commission does, and a smiling face. So
Okay, what about 3 to 7 on Saturday?
Let me check my schedule for that weekend, and I'll get back with you. I'm sure I can do something.
Okay. Bert, you're going to be tied up with the Conservancy, aren't you?
I'll be doing some,
Okay.
parade and some stuff.
Okay.
I'm telling you, 4 hours is
Is it too long?
it's too long.
It is too long. So maybe we should have 2. Okay, I agree.
It's
Okay.
up to you if you're willing to do it.
Want to make it 2? 2 hours.
Trouble is, we need to
Yeah, we need
more people.
we need to get the friends of the group out first, and then recruit from there to take in a supplement. We can reach out and try to gather a list, so it's a 2-hour shift. And
Yeah, I could take a 2-hour stint either Friday or Saturday.
What date is that?
And I'll go from 4 to 6 on Friday. If someone else, get back with me if you want to go from 6 to 8, you know.
yeah, we can help. We just got to schedule.
Okay? And just get back to me, let me know. And I think to your point of 2 hours, I think 2 hours is a lot better than 4.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Get somebody to relieve me too, because
Yes.
I'm down 11 to 3.
Yeah.
We'll let you stay there.
Okay. And Woody's going to take care of all the rest, right?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. All right. Just let me know. And I think 2 hours is sufficient, is maximum.
That should be the maximum.
And then from 3 to 7 on Saturday, that would be, we need 4 people there in 2-hour shifts, right? So, okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get these check with Brian tomorrow, and I'll check also, and I think you have this friends form on. I think I can transfer that electronically to Paragraphics to blow up.
If you want to wait, I can.
Do you want
I catch it.
to pretty it up a little bit? Sure. It'll take them 2 days to do it.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions about the presentation for Island Fest?
I just checked Groseville Connect on exhibitors, and we're not listed yet. This is updated weekly. So we'll have to watch next week to make sure that we make that list.
I'll follow up with Brandy tomorrow.
Yeah, because I just
Because
checked.
I checked. Did I do it? I did it late last week.
Not sure what the chain of events are to get us listed, but we're not listed.
Well, I went there. I filled out the form.
Right.
And I paid the money.
Then your part's done.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll follow up with Brandy and make sure that we're on the list. Okay. Anything? Any additional information on the Oak Wilt update, Pat?
Oh, I was looking at that. Okay. I checked the blue dots on the trail for the wildlife sanctuary.
Yes.
Lenny, when you were on the Manchester Trail, did anybody tell you about the blue dots?
Yeah, I heard about them, but unfortunately we didn't have scuba gear to go out to those trees.
Okay. Okay.
We did see them, but it was 8 to 12 inches of water between where we're at and where they were.
Okay. For the really critical time is once the leaves come out
Right.
in the June, July area. So put it on your back of go back in the June, July, and I'll gladly give you the information we have on the oak wilt so you can identify it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, and we'll go inspect for it.
The rest of the open space areas, we covered the 4 trails that we have, but we really did not look at the other open space areas to see how many of the red oak trees we have on those areas. You want us, Cliff, to attempt to check out all of the remaining open space areas? Or is the feeling it's sufficient if we watch out on the trails, and if the trails stay healthy, the others will? The areas that I checked, that I had, like the Grow Road and the Loma Circle and all that, the woods in those areas are younger, and they do not have all of the mature trees that we have on the paths that we currently use. I'm sort of leaning toward, if we just closely monitor the ones we have marked. I will check this out with the forester that I work with, and if she agrees, then we'll go with that philosophy. But if she thinks that we need to be totally safe, check those other areas, then I'll have to get back to the committee.
Well, in my opinion, I'm leaning towards areas that we've already checked if they're okay.
Because forestry
All of them-
thinks we've been very proactive.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and then you check with them and tell them what our approach is.
Yeah.
And if they feel we should check 2 or 3 other areas, then we'll...
because the forests, the wooded areas are very different in like the Grow and the Loma Circle, Loma Circle and that, than they are on the trails. Wally?
Just a quick question, and it's not on the same path you're at, but last year you made arrangements to bring down a forestry trailer for the August, the Walk the Path event. Mm-hmm. Did you ever give it consideration of bringing it in for Island Fest?
Island Fest?
Setting us up next to it?
Well, in all honesty, initially, when I had contacted them and set it up, I thought it would. I was somewhat disappointed in the trailer. Now, if people think that I'm being too hard on them, but boy, I would have loved to get my hands on that and update it. But they have a hard time adding anything new to it, and I think they could do so much with that. But I sort of thought it didn't really bring that much. Bert, what do you think?
But, it was bland.
That's what I mean, effort versus the actual outcome. What do you think, Wally?
My thought was to set it up with the Greenways open space trailer next to it. Instead of having that would be our unique display. We are talking about greenways and open spaces and GI nature land, conservancy, open space. We're all interested in that product out there of trees and grasses and animals. And if you could have that trailer with a Friends of Groseal sign-up sheet and somebody talking up, these are the things we look at. It's nice to have things to touch and point to. And the kids that I saw go through it, they liked it.
They did, but there weren't that many kids.
Well, that was also a very last-minute thing that we set up, too.
Okay.
If we were to, and then, right now we're going last minute with this idea.
Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting that you should make phone calls and get this done. I'm tossing it out to say that if you want to make a presentation at any time this year, Island Fest would be one of them, but we're going to do Walk the Path again. And we had a rotten location for that trailer last year. We need to have
a path. When's that scheduled?
The same day as the Island garage sales, the same day as Wayne State's Barrow Deer 100-mile racing event, bicycling event comes through, all on the same day.
I don't think we can make it happen for Island Fest this year.
Well,
I think the idea is good. The timing is the issue in my mind, because we had to arrange for somebody to go there and pick it up, and it involved quite a bit of work. Unless they can bring it down, but
Township brought it here and back.
Yeah.
Thanks to Wally.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it at all. I'm just concerned about the time.
I don't want to jump into anything late and unprepared. But as I was sitting here thinking, how could we make this Friends idea a little bit more unique? And if you had a trailer that everybody stood around, Nature and Land Conservancy and Bike Pass, and everybody who was roaming this island and exploring its outside. Then you have this trailer in the center that just shows a little bit more. And I thought it might be a little unique.
You get people to come in it.
Yeah.
I think what you need is live animals or something. That always gets people to pay attention.
Woody's looking at me.
I'm open. If you guys want me to try to get it, I will certainly do my best. But I was disappointed in it.
We have a lot myself. I would like to see it, but we should have been talking about it at least a month ago.
Well, we can get it for Walk the Path, I'm sure.
Okay.
Well, there's the Metro Parks had a trailer that they would bring to different events. I'm not sure if they still have it because there's been a lot of changes in administration at Metro Parks, but that would be a lot closer, and it was more hands-on kind of activities about nature. Trees are not all that compelling, and I don't think that trailer was all that compelling.
I didn't either.
What was that?
The trailer that,
Trailer, there's trail.
no, trailer that they brought down for the walk the path.
That was worth talking about. Maybe
Bert's
we'll
going to
put
look
something
into the
better.
Metro Park one. But if the team decides that they want to have it at Walk the Path, I think I'd be willing to try and find something else, Wally, that might be a little bit more.
I think that cost us about $1,000, all said and done.
About 1,000.
Point, exactly. It just crossed my mind that we need to make us more visible. We need to make us unique. We need to make us something that people will even driving by say, hey, what's that? Let's go in and see.
Well, Bert and I are going to put our heads together. Okay, Bert? And maybe we'll get hold of Jenny and some of your other contacts. But I want to have something really good, really sharp if we're going to do it. I want to do it right.
I'll scour the MDNR site to see what I can find there. And volunteers.
Okay. We'll see what we can do for your walk the path.
Yeah, that would be fun.
All right. I think the next item is the Albemarle Meadows Trail proposal, and based on what I've heard tonight from Jenny, I would like to hold off any further discussion on that until we get the that area, up and running as far as the wildlife. No, what do we call it?
The Gibraltar Bay.
Gibraltar Bay, get that up and running. I think that's going to attract a lot of people, and it may preclude any thought of any trail or anything in Albemarle Meadows, I think. But
Okay, I move
What's your
that
pleasure?
we table further discussion on the, what are we calling, Albemarle Meadows Trail proposal until the opening of the Gibraltar Bay
agreed.
area is up and running, and then we will reevaluate.
That's a good idea.
Second?
Favor?
Aye. Carried. Okay.
Okay, the last item, as far as finalizing the overseers list, I think last month I gave you a copy of this list, and it's tied right into the open space map. That's this one right here, if you have a copy of it. And instead of taking up any more time tonight, take a look at it. If you like the areas that you have right now, that's fine, and I'll mark them down. Okay.
I have a question on the new one. The areas that you marked NR, what does that mean? What's NR stand for?
My humble opinion is that they are very small areas and probably wouldn't even warrant an overseer. Like the Macomb Overlook isn't really technically open space. That's the overlook at the end of Macomb Street. And the waterfront park is the same situation. But the ones I got marked over are those that, in my opinion, do not require any overseer activity.
The concern I have for that is we are overseers of the open space areas. If we don't at least check them twice a year, how will we know if they are healthy or if they have any kind of invasive species occurring in them?
Good point. These areas, however, are very small.
That's why it doesn't take much to just check them out.
Yeah.
would feel more comfortable if we at least had somebody twice a year give a
Okay.
look-see and see what the heck is
Well,
happening.
let's cross them off then, the ENRs, and we'll include those as well. What I did was I marked all the areas that were township property right from the open space map that we had.
Right.
Or the
I
nature
checked it out, yeah.
Yes. Woody, let's start with you. Do you still want to do the areas that you were responsible for before?
No.
Okay. And you turn to the next page, you can see where you got the east of the bird sanctuary, the Horsemill Park Lane, Horsemill Open Space, and Marion Park. You still want those?
Sure.
You got, okay. Bert, you've got the Cornapple Park Lane, Wendell Court, and bike path. You still want those, or do you want to spread those out? You want to have more?
I was real confused with these two sheets.
Okay.
So, because they don't really correspond. My name wasn't on the first sheet, and I saw some blank spaces on the 1 May 15 sheet. So,
Yeah. All right.
like my husband and I went to east of Wildlife Sanctuary because there was no name next to it. But I mean, I can do these. Some of them I couldn't even. I know last year when I couldn't even find an entrance into Park Lane and Stout. And then we also went to another spot that was right near Hickory Circle. And I couldn't find an entrance, So it's right off. So, Pam, so there's Hickory Circle, and there's that little spur that comes off of it, and it stops. And that's right there. I forget the name of that street. Yeah, so. And I couldn't find an entrance to that either.
There really isn't.
So what do you do? I mean,
You just have to kind of make your way through the underbrush.
There was some encroachment. Somebody had a bunch of stuff on that street there. Let me see what it is. That little spur right there. I forget what that's called.
I'll tell you what, it appears that I have confused you more than I've tried to clarify
I
it.
think it's Manor Woods or something.
All right.
Yeah, so, I mean, if everybody says, yeah, we'll take our old stuff and just send that out to everybody.
Let me do this. Let me take this, unless some people, the first one that says May 15th. I'll put people's name on it as tie into the last page. Okay? Now, as far as the Manchester area is concerned, Lenny, you and Mitch indicated a desire for that area. So I'll put you down for...
We were assigned that area.
Okay. All right, so we'll put you down for that area. What I'll do is forget about this one here. That's caused more confusion than anybody else. I'll send you a copy of this sheet here with everybody's name on it, as close as I can get to. And if you have any objections to any of the areas that I've indicated, let me know and I'll change them. Does that make sense? Okay? So forget about this here.
Cliff, are we going to do anything about that ferry trail?
Well, I was going to speak to that. If you guys want someone to go through it, I bike ride that anyways.
Yeah, and see if you can somehow figure out where ours ends and private property starts.
I'll take a look. So you want to put my name next to that, I'll take that.
I don't think it's even on there.
It's on here. It's 14.
Okay.
Somebody reported to me that the owners of that private property are deceased.
They passed, and
That may be a great open space acquisition.
If we can...
Don't if we can, when we
Them
can.
off their butt.
That one makes good sense.
All right, so you're going to take a look at the ferry trail,
Yeah.
Lenny? Okay. All right. Okay, my apology for confusing everybody on this overseer
Plan, wasn't it?
thing. But I'll give you a revised sheet. It'll be one sheet with what we've talked about tonight, and if there's anybody that wants to change it, we can change it.
And Cliff, I haven't gotten an assignment yet, so if you have a spare inspection area, I can do that.
How about if I put you down for the area? Okay, I'll put you down as well. I'll also put Leah. I'll put you down as well for one. Okay.
I'd rather go on the north.
Got Voight.
Volunteering by being drafted.
All right, I'll have this out sometime the end of the week then.
Cliff, who's got Voight?
Void on here.
Sign it says open space on Voight.
Yeah, that's that area.
One side is clean and the other side has got people. I'd like to
Yeah.
know where open space is.
All right, it's Marion Park. It's at the north end. You and I drove by that area.
Right, but there's also people there too. And where do we cut in and where do they cut in? Cut out.
That area of Marion Park runs from Voight, I think it's south to the next street.
Okay, the next street is where all the action is. Voight is clean. There's nothing there. I mean, there's, trees are there, but I'm talking about other people's lands are right next to it.
They are. They're
And
the
it's
lands
chopped up.
on both lands. There's.
I know that.
Lands on both
I'm not
sides.
talking about too much about the Voight one. I'm talking about the one that's on the other side. You got who owns what and where.
I'll have to look at the map.
Because you want to take a look at the property, because it's you don't know if they're encroaching or not encroaching. I don't know, it's really close.
Oh, okay. All right. I can't answer your question, one end, one begins. Okay. All right. Now, as far as, is there any other item that we want to talk about?
Yeah, do you want to go through the update to the open space website real quick?
Yeah. Well, I thought we did.
Okay, but there's a markup if you want to carry that forward. I sent it out yesterday.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about
You
it.
want to go through that real quick?
Yeah.
Page by page?
Yeah, please.
While Lenny's being set up, Cliff, I think we forgot to do the playscape report. At least I didn't take anything down on it. So after Lenny,
The playscape, I haven't had a chance to look at
Okay.
it yet. Okay.
thanks.
Okay, what we talked about earlier was adding an area to the main open space homepage for Friends of Groseal Nature Area sign up. On the left-hand side, we just add a button, and that'll take you to another page with the mission statement, the criteria, and the sign up, which will collect to a database. Do we agree with that?
Yeah.
The place to put that.
Put the friends sign up right along that
On the left-hand side.
left-hand side, okay?
Going through the website, while we're at it, we might as well take and update the list of the current committee.
Yes,
Good idea.
we got to do that.
Got to put Woody's name on it.
I couldn't read it. So fine.
Under the open space, when you push that button that's in red,
That should go.
the old map comes up. This is the old map from,
Map should go.
should go away,
Absolutely.
replaced with the new current map.
Correct.
We agree?
Yes.
Won't be in purple, will it?
No, because that one will go away. The new one's in the book, and that'll just be a pop-up from the PDF.
Correct.
But this, when you click on nature trails, it pulls up this handout
That goes.
from 2009.
That goes. The whole thing goes.
And then it'll be replaced with the new book,
Correct.
which right now the new book is only found under news and events.
Right.
So we've got to get that moved over.
Right.
Right now, news and events is where you find the new book.
That's,
Right.
okay, that should go,
Back over to the homepage.
Correct.
And then the last slide is, sorry, I took a photograph of what we had as the sign up under that heading on the left-hand side.
I think,
We can put all the verbiage that's been crafted thus far should go, when you click on, I want to become friends of the nature areas, then it takes you to a page that's got the verbiage that's on here, what areas in which you wish to take an overseer help with, the sign-up documentation, have all that on one page, and then hit submit.
Bert is going to, you're going to dress up that page right here where we're talking about Friends of Open Space. This one right here.
Yeah, well, maybe. Lenny and we can talk about.
Well, he's gonna type anyways to put it up on the website, so no sense retyping it twice. We just in the Word document, and he can fill it in. Carry it right over to the website.
Now, I think as far as making all this happen, I think he's going to take a sit down with Ted.
Agreed.
Yep.
And I apologize for skipping over this.
No. There's
Waited quite a bit to talk
Len?
about. We got confused. Yes.
I have two suggestions. We did a film, A Walk in the Woods,
Uh-huh.
that is buried on the Facebook. When you talk with Ted, could we at least have a link to it so that when people are in the open space area, they can get a link to a walk
And
in
bring
the
that
woods?
back to the homepage somewhere. That way it's easy to
Well, I
access.
don't know if he wants to keep all videos on the Facebook. I don't know the logic.
Well, just put a link on the homepage somewhere.
Yeah,
to
that's
take
what
you
I'm
right
saying.
to it.
Just have a link. And then in the there's an ordinance out there that addresses that if they do motorized vehicles, etc., there's a $500 fine and/or confiscate. It'd be nice to have a link to that, like what came up in our meeting,
Right.
so that people might become aware of that. And we might want to put on there what our mission statement is, so people know what we're about and why we're doing what we do.
And you agreed. And the other thing I thought about is, because it's buried in there somewhere, if you don't know where to go or what to do as far as cutting a tree, the information is on there. It's just buried in there. We can bring the policies up
Yep, policies, yep.
and bring all that stuff forward to
Yep.
where it's all in one spot and easier to get to. So,
Yeah, try and start. And, you know,
Pulling
and
things
if
out.
Ted says, well, we really don't want it there, we're going to try and just get a link so that we can start getting it all
well, yeah, and
bundled.
And what he gets was the website's the responsibility of this committee.
Right.
And if we come to an agreement, then we can go sit down with them and say, this is what we'd like to have
Good.
happen.
Good. That would make me very happy. Thank you.
Okay. Are we in agreement?
Yes. In other words, you're going to sit down with Ted
Good job, Lenny.
and get this thing all squared away. And I apologize again for skipping over this.
I want to get this thing done and check the box. It's complete. Sorry.
Okay, Leah, you came a little bit late.
Yes, I thought, I'm used to 7:30 meetings.
Could you give us a real
Yeah, really quick
rundown
one.
on the recreation area?
Surely.
The
The board did approve the master plan for Parks and Recreation on Groseal, which will be the guide for community rec for the next 5 years. It's a living document, so anybody has a great idea, talk to us. We recommended to the board 2 new members. We're dropping 1 member, 1 seat on our commission to see if we can operate oversee the Centennial Farm, the marina, the golf course, et cetera, with 1 less person. And the board, I don't know if the board's taken action, so I'm going to share those names. We did take action. It's coming up on Monday. The maintenance building replacement, the one that burned, it's been built, and we're sort of on the new schedule, and it should be up in the next couple of weeks. We're very enthusiastic about the GI Connect. We're going to be working with that. Tails, which is like Friends for the animal shelter, has presented us with a proposal for an extension. And so we took a facilities walk at our last meeting to try and figure out drainage problems and parking issues and et cetera, and we'll have a report back on that proposal shortly. And if you've driven by the old Sharky's, Smokies on the river, the sign is up, and we also took a tour through the facility, and the floor is almost close to being done. It has been cleaned. It needs, of course, to be cleaned again, because every time you clean one part, etc. And so they're shooting for an opening sometime in May. Keep your fingers crossed for early. And so that's kind of what's going on with Community Rec. I apologize again for being late.
What about the roof?
Oh, yes. Yeah, the roof is up, and if you're driven by, they're replacing the siding, too, and that was a real good deal for us. We were looking at putting up a new roof, and we worked a deal with the roofer because he made a mistake. The company made a mistake for another customer, so we have that roof, which is about an $80,000 roof, for half that price.
Great, wonderful.
That was a great, so yes, it's looking really nicely, and those white siding pieces will be restained so they all looks alike.
Great.
And golf is starting. You're welcome to come out.
Any other comments? I'll start down at the end. Woody, do you have anything? Pat, anything else?
Nope.
Bert?
No.
All set.
Okay.
For a future, is the next meeting the first Tuesday in June?
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up. Generally speaking, we'll have one meeting. We'll have a meeting in June, but usually in the past we've omitted the meetings in July and August, and I'd like you folks to consider. You don't have to decide tonight. That pending any emergency situations come up, that we dispense any meetings for July and August and meet in September. So I don't need an answer tonight. When we have our June meeting, we'll decide. Okay?
7th is that date.
Have you got your mic on, Wally? Because sometimes
Sure
I'm not.
do.
Yeah. Leah, anything else?
Sometimes I hear it, sometimes I don't. Of course, I
No,
have
that's
bad ears.
June 6th, isn't it, Molly? Molly, or are you talking about Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday the 7th, then, okay.
Well, it'll be. I don't have my calendar with me. Is it Tuesday, June 7th?
Yes.
Okay. Wally, anything else?
We'll get you a smartphone.
That'll be the day.
Nothing for me other than I second Lenny's motion.
My kids have threatened me with this.
Then we'll find him and encourage him.
Yeah.
If you
Let me
once
tell
got
you,
used
just
to
admit
it,
something to you. I have been brought kicking and screaming into the computer age a number of years ago, and I'm still not quite up there yet. If not, entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion. Second.
Who made the motion? Oh, Lenny, thanks.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming.
Do you want to hang on to these?